there! Welcome! I'm so excited to be making this video today because I have figured out what I've been doing wrong. So here's the little update about my last week on the carnivore diet. Okay, so I've got a couple things I've done a bit differently in this last week. So let me start with, I started having a little bit of sausage, mostly because economically it was better for us to have a little more going on in the diet to help bulk up the meals, because just this week out of nowhere, all of our beef went up, skyrocketed in price, kind of a ridiculous amount. And so that made it harder to get a lot of beef, but I still got enough that we've been able to have some every day. And so we've got a little bit of sausage, and one update I have about that is that my electrolyte problems, like the cramping, have gone away. And when I was looking up ways to naturally get potassium from food, it was all processed meats that came up in suggestion. So I have a feeling that the sausage just had a few of those electrolytes that I wasn't able to get out of my diet otherwise. So my cramping has gone down a lot. I haven't noticed very much at all. And now usually if I feel any little tings in the muscles, just a little bit of stretching will help me feel way better. So that's an update there. I've been feeling better in terms of my muscles. And I also think having the sausage is helping me get a little more fat, because especially the bacon here is very, very lean, and I assume that's a health thing they have going on. So having the sausage, there's definitely a lot more fat going on in there. So I think that's made quite a difference in how I've been feeling too. And that, like I said, our beef has gone up in price, so that's made it harder to have a lot of beef every day. So having something to bulk up our diet is really helping me feel better. And some people still consider that BBBE, you know, and as long as you're not having it every meal and all the time, it's no big deal. Plus, it's helped me feel way better. I'm still not able to use the bathroom, so that's a huge bummer. I've been getting the urge, but I just can't go without the help of my Senna. Now, I'm sure this is due to a deeper problem, because this was happening even when I had more variety in my diet, although I will say it wasn't happening as much, and I wonder if maybe that was because there was more bulk going in, so it was able to force its way out eventually. I don't know. But that has been a huge bummer, although I will say my gut has felt better in terms of the stuff sitting in there feels better. I'm not getting those sharp pains, but when it comes to the motility, that has definitely not improved at all. So I'm gonna still be taking some time figuring that out. Okay, when I look back over this month, I'm gonna try not to make this too graphic. So the first 4 days, I had a bowel movement every day. So October 1st through 4th, had a bowel movement every day. That was great. I was like, yes, we're getting into this. I'm going to heal and it's going to be amazing. Then I had that fast, and after that fast, I didn't go to the bathroom on the 5th or the 6th or the 7th or the 8th. And so by that point, I was starting to get a little worried, but I wanted to wait it out in case it was just not a whole lot of volume going through there, because I know a lot of people have talked about on the meat-only diet having less frequent bowel movements, so I wanted to give it some time to see if that's what it was. And I waited and waited several days, and I started getting the constipation symptoms. I decided to have a little Senna tea to help clear things out. So I finally was able to go to the bathroom like 5 days after the fast, and definitely not pleasant. I really don't like taking a laxative. I would much rather just be doing natural, but that's not happening for me all on its own. So after that, I wanted to give it time and see when it comes naturally, and I waited almost a week and was feeling lethargic, fatigued, and that yucky, gross feeling that you get when you're super constipated. And my gut was firm, like how it would feel if you're backed up. If you've ever been backed up, you'll know what I'm talking about. And so I decided to have some more tea. So what, that's like 6 times right now in the month that I was able to go, and we were already halfway through the month, if not a little bit more. And then every time I've been waiting to see if it will happen naturally, and I keep coming back to these constipation symptoms. So that's still been a problem. So I've only gone, at this point, I've only had a bowel movement. Let me think. I want to say 8 times in this entire month, and today is the, wait, let me see. I don't know. Is it the 26th or 27th? Oh, okay. So today is the 28th, and I've only had a bowel movement 8 times this entire month. That's not very much. And none of it has happened naturally except for the first 4 days. Those were all natural and they felt great. I don't know what was different because I was eating all the same things. So I'm not sure what that was about. I don't know if that was just my body cleansing out what was already in there, but it made me really hopeful for how this was going to go. Got you updated there. Let's move on to the big news that I have discovered and has made this week a million times better. For a long time, I have cared about water quality, especially when I learned about how purified water can deplete minerals in your body, because it would work like if you think about a stream of water going through a channel, and the minerals are attracted to the water. So if there are no minerals in your water to be deposited as it moves, it will pick up the minerals that it finds. That's just the natural process and how the water works. And so I've cared a lot about having water that was mineral rich and water that was not purified and not tampered with and in the most natural state that would be safe to consume. So for a long time I would just buy my own water because that was really the only way to get water with minerals. My mom has a water purifier which I would use when I needed to, but I was really trying to make sure the water I was drinking was healthy and more like how it would have been for humans before we had all these big systems and water distributors and the water cleaning plants and all of that. Since we've been here in Japan, we knew that the water quality here in Japan is very good and they have a very high standard for their water, but along with that also means there are lots of chemicals in their water, of course, because they treat it like a crazy amount and it's loaded with chemicals that are going to help it stay clean as it's coming to each house. And so we already knew that, but we didn't really have much of a means to have any purified water, and it was just going to cost extra money. So we've been drinking tap for this entire year that we have been here. That's just how it worked out for us. Financially, that's been the best for us because, I mean, first we had to work on getting furniture and a comfortable setup in our house, and now there are just things that come up that don't always allow us to make these extra expenses. And so I've been wanting a water purifier for a while now, but we haven't had the means to get it. And I had been looking at this one specific water purifier on Amazon that I was hoping to order whenever it was a good time, and it claims that it'll clean out the chemicals but leave minerals in the water. So I hope that's true. I have no idea. The other day I decided to do some research about our area that we live in, which is Aomori Prefecture, which is really far north on the mainland. Aomori Prefecture has the highest rate of suicide in all of Japan. And I found out that to combat that, the government puts certain amounts of lithium in the water supply. It was kind of experimental, and then they kept doing it to, I guess, become more of a long-term study to see how that affects their suicide rates in this area. That made me like, oh my gosh, I have been drugged up with antidepressants against my will. And you know what? That started making a whole lot of sense about the brain fog that I was feeling, how crappy I was feeling all the time, my mood not being stable, and just feeling like there was a looming cloud over me for a very long time. And I had no idea why. It's not like my life was contributing a whole lot to make that a reality for me, and it felt like I was out of control of it, and my brain like just felt like constricted. That's the best way I can describe it. And I thought that was an internal thing, maybe a stress thing, because I do have very high anxiety and I get stressed out really easily. And so I was just equating it to that. And then I was feeling so crappy on this diet this whole month that I was wondering what it was in the diet that was making me feel that way and how I could change the diet to feel better. But sometimes in life, diet isn't always the answer. I know. We've kind of just discovered how much diet actually affects our overall well-being, which I guess should have been obvious, and I've always felt like that contributed, but I didn't know about what foods cause those kinds of disruptions and problems and illnesses in people. And now that I'm more educated about that, you know, I want to definitely take my diet very seriously and make sure I'm taking care of my body and feeling my best so that I can give my best to this world while I'm in it. I found that out. I told my husband about it. I sent him the articles that I found that were talking about this. And of course, along with lithium in the water, there are also PFOAs and PFOSs, which can also affect your hormones. And so I already knew the water was not ideal for us, but that was all we had access to. And I finally got the green light to go ahead and order the water filter that I've been looking at. So we finally got a water filter. Instantly started feeling better. My brain started clearing up. I started just feeling lighter and more energetic and just better overall. Very quickly too. And that kind of gave me my answer that the water was really affecting me. So for anyone who doesn't pay much attention to their water quality or doesn't think it matters, it really, really does. It really does. And now I feel like I'm just going to be emphasizing that so much, how much water quality really matters. Water is the most essential thing to life. It is the healthiest thing we can possibly consume in our life. So we have to make sure it is the best quality that we can get our hands on, because that is what's going to be affecting our everyday functions the most. And our organs need water to function properly. And so if the water is depositing all sorts of crap and things that wouldn't naturally be in it in the way the world was intended to be, then we're just junking up our body as we're trying to fuel it with the thing that we need the most. So I have already, it's been what, like 2.5 days, and I already feel immensely better just from having the right water. And that is so crazy what a difference it has made for me, but I cannot deny the difference that I feel already. So I will say, Carnivore and keto, low carb, has done a lot for me across these past few months, but there was still some looming like gloominess and not feeling good that was making me wonder what the heck was going on. And now I feel so much better, so much more energetic. My mood is currently stable, so we'll see if that keeps up. So I'll give updates as I continue having this water. But it's made a huge, huge difference. I cannot emphasize that enough, how much of a difference it has actually made. So I'm very glad that I finally found the solution to those problems that I was having. I feel a lot better about this diet, knowing that that was a big factor in how I was feeling, and I'm so glad to know it wasn't the diet making me feel that way. That being said, with how good I feel, I still am not going to continue this diet after this month because for a few reasons. So one is just that I'm not good at being restrictive. That is something I've kind of always known about myself. All the times I've tried diets, I've had a hard time sticking to them, kind of everybody's story when it comes to diet. And the only thing that ever worked for me for weight loss was allowing myself to eat whatever I wanted, just eating less of it and learning how to become satisfied off of less of the food. And that was the only thing that worked for me, along with a little bit of exercise, but not too much, because I'm just not someone who can go hard constantly for weeks at a time. That's just not me. But a little bit helps me feel my best and just helps the weight loss in general be more optimized. So yes, so being restrictive has of course made me kind of obsess over foods that I shouldn't even be eating, and thinking about all the things that I want to be able to have again, and just making me just think about all of these different foods and fantasize about them. And that wasn't even the way when I was on a less restrictive carnivore. I felt great and I didn't feel tempted by other foods. But now when I go to the grocery store, I smell the bakery items and they smell amazing. The produce has smelled so good to me. I've been craving salad. It's kind of bizarre how I've been feeling. So that's one reason why I'm not going to stick to the diet. The other reason being that I love to cook and I love being creative, and I'm constantly creating recipes in my head, and being this limited is making it hard. I was actually planning to do a lot more cooking and recipe videos this month, and I have ideas that I've written down, but I've had a hard time actually getting them done and putting them out. And part of that was just from how bad I was feeling and just not energetic or motivated at all. And I feel like I missed out on being able to do a lot of that. And so I just like having a bit more variety so I can play around more in the kitchen. And I really feel like as long as I'm staying low carb, that's what's going to be best for me. That's what's going to feel best in my body. And having a little bit of variety is going to keep me from going and just eating the way I was before and gaining weight again. That's why I'm not going to stick with this strict diet. That being said, I might have times where I do a little more strict for like a few days or a week or something, possibly, to optimize how I'm feeling or for weight loss or whatever reason. I do see the benefits from this, at least in terms of my body composition and how it's feeling. But when it comes to my gut, I'm gonna have to still be experimenting and see what helps my gut. So I will keep updating about that and seeing if I see any changes. At least if I can have an autonomous bowel movement, that will be a huge win for me. So I'm looking forward to that. But I gotta say, overall, this experiment has shown me a lot about myself and about how I do with being more restricted, and just how I do overall with mindset when it comes to taking things away. And so I'll probably put out some talks about some things that I've been thinking about and realizations that I've had during this time that I think some people could definitely relate to. So I'll get that together when I can really sort my thoughts and have it be a really concise discussion that I can have. I don't regret doing this month. It has been a little hard on the wallet, especially with the beef going up, and so that's definitely another reason why I won't be able to stick with this diet. It will just be much better for us to be able to have chicken and dairy to bulk up our meals some more. That's where I'm at right now. That's my update. I feel bad for how many negative videos I have put out about this, and I've actually made a pros and cons list that I've come up with for this, my experience with BBBE / strict carnivore. So I will be talking about that later and just giving my experience for people who are curious or are thinking about it but want to be able to weigh the pros and cons. I'm so excited. I finally figured out what was making me feel so awful. I feel way better. It would have been nice if we could have done this earlier in the month so I could feel these benefits for longer, but you know what? It is what it is. I'm glad we found it out, and I'm glad that we were able to get on top of it and get that together. And so I'm doing way better now, and I'm so excited. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is my little week 4 update / end of the challenge. Thank you so much for watching and for being here and for sticking with me, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.